BizNews Power Hour.
Welcome to the BizNews Power Hour, where we give you the rational perspective on business news that matters. Indeed, we do. I'm Alec Hogg, coming to you from the BizNews head office in Johannesburg. Well, this is where the head office is, isn't it? Stuart Lohman, our colleague.
It is at the moment, Alec. I know we've got some future plans, but Joburg is where we are at the moment. Obviously, with our nice little virtual studio in the Cape Town area. I don't know, Nadia, you're not in Cape Town at the moment, are you?
Visiting all of y'all in Gauteng.
Yeah, so she's from what used to be called the Northern Transvaal. In other words, P-Town. Yeah, it used to be.
Yeah, I'm a Vali.
Yeah, Barberton and Modelifies, you know, that's what you guys, yeah. It's quite funny, actually. Northern Transvaal's rugby used to, instead of being a bull, it used to be a flower. Can you imagine the transformation
Yes,
that they would have felt in those days? Yeah, but they still played like bulls even those days. Anyway, you're in the virtual studio, as is Justin Rowe Roberts. Nice to see you, Justin, down in the Cape. You flying our flag for the perhaps one day to be independent Cape Town. What do all your pals think about that whole story, the Cape independence or secession attempts?
Alec, always good to be down in Cape Town. I think it's a bit of a mixed bag when it comes to Cape independence. There are a lot of arguments for it, but there are also arguments against. Cape Town is part of South Africa at the end of the day. So yeah, a complete mixed bag, but us as Cape Townians, it's nice to be here and it's a beautiful day in the mother city.
Okay, well, good to hear that. We've got a beautiful program coming up for you. I had probably the most informative discussion yet on COVID with Emil Stipp a little bit earlier. He's the chief actuary of Discovery. Stuart Lohman, you'll remember that recently we've been talking about this and wondering, and hang on, if Emil says that between 70 and 80% of South Africans have had COVID already, then isn't that herd immunity? So why do we all still have to go and get vaccinated?
Well, I heard a bit of that discussion earlier, and I suppose he speaks about what the vaccine actually can do for you as an individual. From what I gathered, the herd immunity is a non-event as we go forward.
Yeah, I found it fascinating. Herd immunity says forget about it. And the way, I'm not going to spoil. There's no more spoiler alerts. Let's just, it really is an interview worth listening to, and we'll be talking to him after we hear from David Shapiro, who today spoke with Bronwyn Nielsen. David Shapiro. Did you manage to pick up any of that, Stu?
Not really of the interview itself, Alec, but obviously I used to work with Bronwyn. I know she's picked some good nuggets from the people she speaks to. So I look forward to that interview.
Yeah, it's really lovely to have Bronwyn Nielsen as part of our team. She is an icon here in South Africa as one of the long-standing television broadcasters and now working with us here on the Power Hour. Lovely to have her with us. Also coming up tonight is an interview from the UK, Stu, from our colleague Linda van Tilburg.
Alec, that looks at the red list, obviously, that the UK has on South Africa as a destination and what it's costing. And there's a petition going around from South Africans to try and get it reversed because the country really does need those British pounds, as they say.
Indeed. Okay, so what are the BizNews community reading on biznews.com today?
A lovely piece done by our colleague Justin Roberts around the Naspers share buyback, Alec, and what it's actually cost shareholders. He puts it at a plus 20 billion rand that's been lost with the share buyback program from the Naspers process stable.
Excellent story, Justin. Did it take you long to work all the numbers out?
It did take me a while, Alec. There were a lot of buybacks over around 7 months, so the calculations in itself were quite complex. But yeah, the figure that I came to was 20.7 billion in shareholder value lost, i.e. double the size of what Imperial is getting bought out for.
So if they hadn't done the share buybacks, Naspers shareholders would have been 20 billion rand better off. That's what they overpaid in the shares that they bought back.
Exactly. A capital allocation mishap. Shareholders would have been much happier with that money as dividends in the pocket, Alec.
Well done in doing those calculations. Stu, what else are the top stories on biznews.com?
From the US, like the Food and Drug Administration is just labeled ivermectin as a non-sort of use for COVID. That was done over the weekend in the US. And then the story that ran over the weekend was the Caster Semenya one, which from our partners at the Wall Street Journal on her banning the testosterone levels was actually overturned literally 2 weeks post the Tokyo Olympics. So she was unable to sort of race the 800 meters and hold on to her gold crown from 2016, Alec, which is very sad. And it's a bit of a sham, unfortunately.
Terrific, isn't it? You have a research report done in 2018 by the British Sports Science Journal.
World Athletics body as well was also involved there.
No, they're supported by or sponsored by the World Athletics body. It then says that testosterone is giving so much of an advantage to certain people. They had to adjust the levels. Then they come out now, after the Olympics, to say, oops, sorry, it didn't actually give people like Caster Semenya an advantage. So she's lost a gold medal.
And the ability to sort of fight, hold on to it. So it's very sad for her. And I'm sure there'll be lots of ramifications going forward, but let's see what happens there, Alec. It's not great.
Well, it's surprising to me that the rest of the country hasn't picked up the story and been running aggressively with it. But I'm sure in newsroom somewhere they're going to find out about that in a little while. Nadia, what's happening on our YouTube channel?
So, yeah, talking about Emil Stipp, the Thursday's flash briefing, which we covered the report by him, which he estimates like as many as 4 out of 5 South Africans have had COVID. That flash briefing's done very well. It also covered the opening of vaccination to all of those above the age of 18 in South Africa. And another video that I also particularly enjoyed was a summary of your interview, Alec, with Magnus Haystack of Brentest Wealth Management, which is a great explainer of the way that the amended regulations of retirement annuities affect those who plan on immigrating. And then the third video is the live stream of Justin, your interview with the CEO of BritBox, potential competitor to Netflix, which he did on Friday.
And was she in South Africa? Because I know she isn't based here.
No, Rima Sarkhan, she's based in the UK. The on-demand streaming services has to be one of the most exciting industries around, Alec. And it's just so nice for us as consumers when we've got Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus. Okay, multi-choice we wouldn't put into that conversation. And now we've got BritBox coming here at competitive prices and a great offering.
BritBox is amazing. We've been watching Dr. Foster, which is I suppose the Brits have seen it and they say, oh, that's old news. Anyway, you can get it on BritBox now, and it really is riveting. The Brits, they certainly know how to do their when they put their hands to film. Whew, it can be excellent. Stu, and what are our audience or our community listening to in our podcasts?
Like I was going to say, the Brits also know a thing about comedy, but that might just be a personal choice. On the audio side, Charles Boert, who does the weekly Potgooi, has sort of been very well listened to, Alec. He speaks to Willem Herzog, and they look at York Timber as an investment.
In English or Afrikaans?
It's Afrikaans.
Afrikaans, yeah. Mooi so.
No, it does well for us. And we know that a big part of the community does sort of like to consume audio in their home language. So it's very good for us. The other one from June, it's still running very well, is the interview with Mark Giraudeau looking at vaccine and COVID vaccine immunity and sort of natural immunity, Alec. So that's actually, Nadia did that interview in June, which it's fantastic to listen to. But I mean, with the Emil thing as well, it's quite interesting to see where you sit now in terms of the...
It's all becoming a lot clearer, which is great.
And then Magnus's piece on the Pension Funds Amendment Act with the immigration, that's also still been very well listened to, Alex. So.
BrightRock believes that with every change in life comes opportunity, and the markets aren't any different. The daily movement in the markets mean change for us all, sometimes small, sometimes big. This daily market report is made just for you by BrightRock, the first ever needs-matched life insurance that changes as your life changes.
Well, that means that we are now going to find out what's going on in the news and the market, starting with Nadia Swart.
South Africa plans to extradite former Mozambican Finance Minister Manuel Chang to his home country rather than the US, where he also faces corruption charges, according to 2 people with knowledge of the matter. Interpol is working on the case, and Chang's extradition could take place in the coming days, said one of the people who asked not to be identified, as the South African government has yet to announce its decision. He's been held in a prison outside Johannesburg since being arrested in December 2018 on charges related to a $2 billion sovereign debt scandal, while South Africa considered the request from Mozambique and the US. The Financial Sector Conduct Authority has suspended the exchange license of ZARX on Friday. The suspension resulted from ZARX's non-compliance with Section 81A of the Financial Markets Act, read with Regulation 8 and 43.2 of the FMA regulations, which relate to the liquidity and capital adequacy requirements of an exchange, the FSCA said in a statement. We don't take this regulatory action lightly, given its impact, FSCA Commissioner Unati Kamlana said in a statement. Our view, however, is that this is a necessary step to safeguard market integrity and the interest of issuers and the broader investing public. This is the cornerstone of our mandate as the FSCA. ZARX was launched 5 years ago, the first new stock exchange in South Africa in 58 years. The exchange was established after new legislation opened up the market to new competitors to the JSE. Woolworths will no longer have a CEO for its SA operations after the current person in the role, Zyda Rylands, is stepping down after leading the division for 6 years. The retailer announced on Monday morning that Rylands was leaving her role as Woolworths SA CEO and as Executive Director of Woolworths Holdings Limited due to personal circumstances. The group has reviewed its leadership structure for WSA and will not retain the role as it seeks to streamline its operating model. The retailer said that Rylands agreed to defer her planned early retirement to remain with the group until 2024.
Sure. Etienne Nel with ZARX. Stuart, we know him quite well, having seen him in recent times, and that's quite a hit.
No, it's not. You're looking for competition in that space, Alex. So it's not good for consumers either.
But there are others. There's 4AX,
4AX, yeah.
our partners, and then Anthony Wilmot's Singular Systems. They've got one as well. So there are a few still around, but not. And of course, 2AX as well, which is the biggest of all of the challenges. Anyway, and it's interesting, that Mozambican story. The Americans want this guy in America. It's $2 billion. It's the tuna bond scandal, and the Mozambican people were ripped off. But now he's going back to Mozambique to be tried by the people who did the ripping off. Crazy. Anyway, all right. I'm sure there's something happening behind the scenes. Justin, no comment, but tell us about the markets.
The JSE All Share Index was up at 66,800. In the currency, slightly weaker against all the major currencies, to 15 Rand 19 cents to the dollar, 20 Rand 81 cents to the pound, and 17 Rand 82 cents to the euro. Gold is up at $1,790 an ounce. A Kruger Rand will put you back around 28,500 Rand. Brent crude is well up at $68.50 a barrel, and the premier cryptocurrency will cost you 770,000 Rand.
No. Come now. You got to say that with a little bit more verve. We know that you're a crypto man. 700 and what?
770,000 Rand. It's gone through the $50,000 mark for the first time in 3 months, Alec.
So why didn't you tell us when it was 450 that we were all supposed to pile in there? Because only like how many weeks ago? 6 weeks ago?
Because I'm not going to pretend like I knew this was going to happen, Alec. In the financial news, the Johannesburg Stock Exchange will introduce new caps to help investors rebalance weightings after a stock swap between Naspers and Prosus. Effective from September, the capping level for the Swix All Share Index and Swix Top 40 Index will fall to 6% from 10%, according to a statement from the BOS. The interim measure is designed to align companies' combined weighting in key indices to prevailing levels. The exchange will seek a permanent solution as quickly as possible after a consultation period following publication of a white paper in August. Bitcoin topped $50,000 for the first time since May as crypto prices continued an ongoing recovery from a disorderly rout just 3 months ago. The revival in virtual currencies has excited the animal spirits of the crypto faithful, putting predictions of $100,000 or more for Bitcoin back in vogue. Others see the volatile asset carving out a wider trading range for now.
This market report was made just for you by BrightRock, the first ever needs-matched life insurance that changes as your life changes.
Well, thanks for being with us this evening. We look forward to being back in your company again tomorrow. Until then, cheerio.
You've been listening to the Power Hour, brought to you by the team at BizNews.